Hello, and welcome to the Power of Attorney webinar. Before we get started, I want to mention that this webinar, like all of our previous webinars, will be available as a video on our YouTube channel. Access our YouTube channel through our website or directly on the YouTube website at www.youtube.com/CalPERS. Our presentation today covers information on the different types of powers of attorney and why you should have one on file. We'll also review the specific powers the person you name may have. Finally, we'll go over completing the form and what you need to do if you want to change or terminate your power of attorney. There are many different types of powers of attorney, or POAs, that you may utilize throughout your life. The first is a durable power of attorney. This type contains a durability clause, which takes effect immediately. This permits the person you name, called your attorney-in-fact, to act on your behalf if you could become incapacitated or unable to handle your own affairs. Many think that you only need a power of attorney if you're elderly. The fact is, unexpected life events can happen at any age. If a POA is not available, your loved ones may have to seek a court-appointed conservator, which can be both expensive and time-consuming. A general power of attorney permits your attorney-in-fact to act on your behalf in certain specific personal affairs. It automatically terminates when you become incapacitated or unable to act on your own behalf, unless it contains a durability clause. For example, this might be useful for someone who is out of the country with limited communication, so they want their attorney-in-fact to pay bills or do banking for them. A contingent power of attorney becomes effective once certain conditions you specify are met. This is often designated to go into effect if you become disabled, incapacitated, or otherwise unable to handle your own affairs. With a contingent POA, you'll need to tell us who will make the determination of incapacitation in order for the POA to go into effect. A limited POA allows your attorney-in-fact to have specific powers or to be able to act within specific timeframes. For example, if you're going to be on vacation for a month in another country and want your attorney-in-fact to handle your affairs during that time. A healthcare POA permits your attorney-in-fact to make decisions about your healthcare if you are unable to do so. We can't accept this type of POA for your retirement account. You may be wondering why it's important to have a CalPERS special power of attorney on file. The CalPERS special power of attorney is specific to your CalPERS retirement benefits. You may have one of the other power of attorney types we just mentioned, but the language may not apply to CalPERS. We still may be able to accept your non-CalPERS POA, but it will need to be reviewed by us to make sure it's acceptable. If it's not, you'll have to either revise it to make it acceptable, or you'll need to submit the CalPERS power of attorney, both of which would cause your attorney-in-fact to wait even longer to be able to conduct business with us. Also, if the non-CalPERS POA you provide us doesn't have a durability clause, we wouldn't be able to honor it if you became incapacitated. Let me tell you a quick story I heard from a coworker who worked in our call center and had taken thousands of calls. Some of those calls would be from family members trying to get information about a member's account because the member was unable to do that for themselves. She took a call from a spouse of a retired CalPERS member. He was very upset because his wife was in the hospital and couldn't speak on the phone. The bank account her retirement check was being deposited into had been compromised, so he was calling to find out how to change her account number. They were on a fixed income, so going without her retirement check would be an extreme hardship. Unfortunately, there was no power of attorney on file, so we couldn't help him over the phone. The member did have a power of attorney and her husband was able to get a copy of it to us, but we would have been able to help him much faster if it was already on file. You may have a POA, but it's important that we have a copy of it. If it's a non-CalPERS POA, we need to be able to review it to make sure it can be used for CalPERS business. Reviewing a POA, even if it's ours, can take a couple of months to do, so the sooner we have it on file, the better. Our POA is a 5-page form that allows your attorney-in-fact the ability to act on your behalf when it comes to your CalPERS benefits. You'll tell us on the form what your attorney-in-fact is able to do. It's important to understand that this form cannot be used to make any medical decisions, doesn't provide authority over any other real or personal property that you may have, and doesn't grant your attorney in fact access to your MyCalPERS account. A power of attorney is void after your death. You can find the CalPERS Special Power of Attorney publication on our website under Forms and Publications. Let's talk about some of the things that your attorney in fact may be able to do. This isn't a complete list, but I want to be able to give you an idea of what they can do. You can also limit the power they have. They can request information regarding your benefit payments once you're retired, submit a service, disability, or industrial disability retirement application on your behalf. You can allow them to select a retirement payment option. If you don't give this specific authority, but there is a beneficiary on file, then they may only choose the return of remaining contributions option 1 or the unmodified allowance. If you don't give this specific authority and there isn't a beneficiary on file, then they may only choose the unmodified allowance. You can allow them to designate beneficiaries or change the beneficiaries you've previously designated. If you do not grant this specific authority, the attorney in fact cannot designate or change the beneficiary. Allowing them to designate beneficiaries will also enable them to designate themselves as your beneficiary unless you specify otherwise on the form. They can change your address. They can create or change a direct deposit. And finally, they can change your federal or state tax withholding as needed. So let's go through the Power of Attorney form, starting with Section 1. In this section, you'll notice that it requests the name of principal. For this form, a principal is a person who empowers another to act on their behalf. If you're completing the form, then this would be you, the CalPERS member. In Section 2, you'll designate who you would like to act on your behalf. You're able to select more than one person. If you designate more than one person, you can have them act jointly, separately, or alternately. If you request that they act alternately, you'll be required to number them in the order you wish. The CalPERS Power of Attorney form is 5 pages, so please make sure you write your name and social security number or CalPERS ID on the top of each page. In Section 3, you need to let us know the limitations of what your attorney in fact can do for you. There are 2 choices, and you must check that the person or persons you name is or is not authorized for each of the specific authorities. First, you must tell us if you give them the authorization to choose a payment option on your behalf that provides a lifetime monthly allowance to someone after your death, even though it may reduce your retirement allowance to do so. Second, you must tell us if you allow them to designate or change your beneficiary, including designating themselves as a beneficiary. At the bottom, you can provide special instructions limiting other powers. Section 4 allows you to designate the length of time you wish your POA to remain in effect. It can start immediately and remain in effect until you specifically revoke it. You can provide a specific date range. This may apply to the example we talked about earlier where you may be going out of the country. It can begin only if you are unable to handle your own affairs. Here you designate who makes that determination. Finally, you can elect to have the POA terminated if you become incapacitated. You'll also need to designate who will make that decision. Section 5 provides information to you regarding the legality of the CalPERS Special Power of Attorney for the person creating the POA and the person accepting the appointment as the attorney-in-fact. Your attorney-in-fact can sign in Section 5, but this is optional. Section 6 is your acknowledgement and execution. Your signature must be witnessed or notarized. You're able to have your signature either witnessed or notarized. Section 7 allows 2 persons to witness your signature. Keep in mind they must be at least 18 years of age and cannot be the persons that you name to act on your behalf. Your second option is to have your signature notarized by a notary public in Section 8. Once completed, send your POA to us using the address located at the bottom of the last page of the form. At some point, you may decide that you want to change your power of attorney or completely terminate it. There are some steps you'll need to take. To change your power of attorney, you'll need to complete a new form with the changes you desire. You may want to inform those who have a copy of the old form that it's now invalid. And you may want to request that any copies of the invalid form be returned to you by your attorneys in fact so that they can be destroyed. You should provide copies of the new form to those who will be carrying out your wishes. You may decide to terminate or revoke your power of attorney. If this is the case, you must submit a signed request to us in writing. Include the type of POA on file, the date it was signed, and the names of the attorney in fact. You can still submit a new power of attorney to us at a later date. If you'd like more information about the CalPERS Special Power of Attorney, visit the Special Power of Attorney page on our website or read our publication, CalPERS Special Power of Attorney, which is our publication number 30. If you have any questions or concerns about the legality of the CalPERS Special Power of Attorney or any power of attorney, consult legal counsel. Our presentation today covered the importance of having a power of attorney on file. To get more information about your CalPERS benefits, you can take one of our member education classes online or in an instructor-led setting. You can enroll on the education page in your MyCalPERS account. Thank you for taking time out of your day to attend this presentation, and have a great day.